snack. Me and you gonna have a little chat about books. Hi guys, so I am here today to do some novella reviews. I've been reading a couple of novellas recently. I've read 3 in November, so I'm going to talk about all 3 of them in this video because they're all very short. So the first one I'm going to talk about is Professional Integrity. This is by Michael J. Sullivan. It is a short story set in his Rearia universe, and I definitely enjoyed this one. So what is this all about? This follows the main characters of Hadrian and Royce as they are approached by a young lady who asks them to kidnap her. The reason she wants to be kidnapped is because she feels as though she never gets noticed by the person or the man that she is in love with, and she believes that if she is kidnapped by these two, then she will be looked for and he will take notice of her and he will fall in love with her. It's all very romantic and lovely. The thing that I loved about this book, even though it is very short, is that you can start here if you want to with Rearia and you won't be spoiled for anything really. It's a short story, it's an easy entryway into Michael J. Sullivan's work, it's an easy place for you to begin, and also it's just a really fun twist on some of the sort of popular themes of mythical creatures and animals. I really enjoyed this. I thought that it was just such a fun read. It didn't take me very long at all. In fact, I think it was only an hour or 2. I listened to it on audio because you could get them free, so that's what I did. I thought this was really fun. I think that the characters of Hadrian and Royce are incredible characters. I think Michael J. Sullivan always brings out the best in those 2 characters and makes them really funny, and they can sort of be in any situation and be enjoyable to read about, and that's exactly what was going on with this. It wasn't necessarily a story that I would have picked up if it hadn't been about Hadrian and Royce, but because it was, they just make it great, and it's just so fun. So I think I've read pretty much everything in the Rearia books and chronicles and series and short stories and everything now, and I really would recommend that you guys check this one out. If you've read any of his other stuff, then I have no doubt that you will enjoy this. I ended up giving it a 4 out of 5 stars. I just thought it was really fun. I love the characters, I love the world, and it was an easy read all round. So yeah, really enjoyed that one. Moving on to another work of fiction. This is Neil Gaiman's How the Marquis Got His Coat Back, and it's a short story which is a Neverwhere short story. I've not read Neverwhere yet, but I wouldn't say that that should hold you back from reading this because I read it and it was perfectly understandable as it was. I assume when you have the context of Neverwhere as well, it probably makes a bit more sense, but for me it worked really well as a little standalone short story. It's only 50 pages, so it is an incredibly short little story, and it's about a Marquis who loses his coat and he ends up having to go on all sorts of crazy adventures around this very bizarre world, which I'm assuming is Neverwhere, potentially. He meets all sorts of creatures like mushroom people who have spores growing out of their heads and they're very creepy sounding. He also meets an elephant, he meets all sorts of bizarre things. So, you know, Neil Gaiman's writing is just very whimsical, very peculiar as well at times, and I think this is a sort of epitome of that. It really does show that he is a weird writer, but he can write incredibly well. It flows really well, it's a very easy story to engage with and to like, and the style is very classically Neil Gaiman. I really enjoyed it. I ended up giving this a 3.5 out of 5 stars, really likeable, very quick read, didn't take me long at all. I then picked up Shaking Hands with Death, which is by Terry Pratchett. This is not a fiction book, this is actually a sort of transcribing of a lecture that he gave to the BBC, and it's basically talking about Alzheimer's and the issues that he has had surrounding his disease and the problems that he has had sort of getting the public to understand Alzheimer's, and also getting the public and generally the government and people like that to understand about the idea of assisted death, which is something that he is very much in line for, and he wants to be allowed to die when he feels that it is time. He doesn't really believe in prolonging people's lives to the point where they are just essentially vegetables lying in bed, and I thought that this was so beautifully written. I did read this late at night, it did make me cry. It was emotional, it was a hard-hitting thing, especially when you know that Terry Pratchett did actually die earlier this year, and it's a really sad little story when you think about it in that light. It is non-fiction, obviously, it's a lecture that he gave, so it doesn't necessarily reference a lot of his Discworld stuff, but there is small mention of some of his Discworld books and how Alzheimer's has been a massive part of writing those, and the ideas and concepts that he comes up with for them are definitely influenced, but I would say that this is far more focused on Alzheimer's and assisted death rather than the Discworld books, so don't get confused going into this. If you are, however, really interested in that sort of thing, which I definitely was, this is probably a wonderful place to start, sort of looking into those things and seeing what people think about it and sort of formulating your own ideas based off of what you find out. I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. I thought it was incredible. Everything he said with me resonated and I just really enjoyed it. So 5 out of 5 stars for that one. So those are all of the books that I'm going to be talking about in this little mini review. I hope you guys enjoyed what I said and I hope that you will check some of them out because they're all super short. You can definitely fit these into your reading schedule very easily. They only took me around an hour each, I think maybe even less than that. So I would definitely recommend checking them out. Let me know in the comments which one of these 3 most intrigues you and whether you will be picking any of them up. Thank you all for watching and I will see you all very soon in another video. Bye! Me and you gonna have a little chat.